One of the areas I struggled with when putting together my catalog of video games is how to handle genres. I mean, most games feel like they could be categorized under many different ones consisting of multiple main and sub-genres. Coming into this, I thought that main genres were going to be easy to categorize too. Most of them are pretty well known, like action, adventure, strategy, fighting arcade, simulation, RPG, and the list just goes on. But then you have some genres that feel like they're main genres, but maybe they aren't. Like, is fighting a main genre? I always thought it was because of games like Street Fighter, Tekken, or Soul Calibur, and I've never seen them as any other kind of genre except for fighting. But if they are fighting games, then couldn't fighting games also just be a subgenre of action? And what about Skyrim? It fits under RPG, action, and adventure, so do we just go by the genre that encapsulates it the most with RPG and call it done? There's a lot I want to look into this, but I'm also kind of addicted to Sapiens right now, so I'm going to go play some more of that first. I felt the next step was going to be to try and define as many different genres and subgenres as I could, just to make sure I understood what each one was, even in their simplest forms. I hoped that this would help me narrow down the list of genres I would use to categorize the games within my library, and I wanted enough of a list that it felt like defining the genre was important, but not too big of a list that choosing one was going to feel overwhelming. That, however, led to an unexpected problem of its own. The more I looked into these different genres, the more many of them kind of felt muddied. That maybe we didn't need most of them because they were already covered by another. I started to question everything I knew about different genres, and the more I read up on them, the more a lot of them felt exactly the same with only minor differences. Wednesday was my recovery day from the rabbit hole that I'd been down the day before, and I decided that it was time to look at it with a fresh, blank slate, and maybe just try categorizing the genres and seeing what came of it. It's not what the program's meant for, but I used Twine to help visualize the process, and hopefully come up with a list of ones that would fit best for the main genres, as well as the ones for my subgenres within the spreadsheet. For main genres, I ended up with a list of action, adventure, strategy, simulation. I also threw in sports because I think I'd like to separate it from simulation games, as I don't normally get into sports games, although games like Rocket League would be an exception. There was also puzzle, RPG, casual, visual novel I felt could also be a good main category, and then I added in horror, which I know fits in with action games, but I don't like horror games, so I felt like I could easily separate them from the rest of the other games that I have by giving them their own category. And with that, I felt like I landed on a good set of main categories for now. There was enough different ones that I felt every game could fit into at least one of these. From there, I put together the list of subgenres, and I won't read through all of them, but yeah, I feel like I got a pretty good selection of these going too. I'm positive that both of these lists will change and adjust over time, and we'll just see how it develops naturally as the catalog grows. So to implement these lists, I spent a bit of time trying to get a multiple selection drop-down box to work in Google Sheets, but the only methods I found involved using scripts, and I didn't really feel like doing scripts right now, so singular selection drop boxes it is. I just made some named ranges, threw in some data validations, and the drop-downs were good to go. Although I was going to have to go back to the catalog and correct or update the main and subgenres of a bunch of the different games already in the spreadsheet, but that was a lot of work, so that's a future spend problem. Thursday, I came in and added some more of my Switch games to the spreadsheet, but it's too much work to go blurring out information from different emails, so I'm showing a video of my dog Buddy instead. I didn't get much work done on all of this Friday because it was mostly a day of writing and editing. I had my Destiny's Divide and Final Stardust reviews that I was uploading later on that day, and I wanted to make sure that I could finish them. Plus, once those were done, I finished up playing Halver, which was also for a review that needed to be done the following week, and to wrap up the day, I completed my last session of Sapiens, at least until it receives some more updates down the road. I tried to be productive Saturday. For the first part of the day, I was successful. I got a bunch of work done on my Return to Moria video, but then I found out that Pal World was on Xbox Game Pass, so that took up a good chunk of the evening. It's surprisingly fun so far, although too early to say if it's good yet. And then today being Sunday, there was a lot more Pal World and editing for both this video and a couple others I've been working on. Game-wise, I hit my target for the week. Destiny's Divide, Final Stardust, Halver, as well as Sapiens were now done, so technically you could say this week I made some progress with completing the list of video games, but unfortunately 3 of those 4 games were just added into the library on top of all the other games, so technically I am still behind, and as far as this month's concerned, I put more games into my library than I've actually completed again. Although I don't know the exact number on that. Monday we'll have to go back through the last couple of weeks and see exactly how many games behind I am since the start of January, and then, pretend that I'm gonna work extra hard to catch up on all of them.